Of course, this is a pretty, hardline stance, I guess, not dissimilar to what we've seen from BlackRock and Bank of America. It seems very weird talking about it like this, given that we're kind of pretty much all back in the office and very few of us have even been able to get the vaccine yet here in Australia.
Yeah, it's a crazy world, isn't it, Heidi? I mean, Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman did put everyone on notice last week when he said, if you can go to a restaurant in New York, you can come into the office. And this is just an extension of that policy. So they basically said you have to be vaccinated to be able to come back. He's made it very clear that he wants most people back in the office by early September. At the moment, about 90% of the people who are back in the office in Morgan Stanley are vaccinated, but he's hoping that number will tick up to around 100% very soon.
That is kind of true, right? Because we're seeing restaurants and bars pretty packed here in New York, but when it comes to this office-centric Midtown Manhattan, really, really empty. So how does Morgan Stanley really stack up against other firms then?
Sherry, Morgan Stanley is at the more aggressive end in terms of Wall Street banks. So JP Morgan was the first bank to mandate people return to the office, and that was back in April. Goldman Sachs then followed suit. But neither of those banks have a vaccine policy. So Morgan Stanley here is following BlackRock's playbook, as Heidi was just saying before, and in mandating people have to be vaccinated before they'll be allowed into the office. Others, like Bank of America, are taking a bit more of a relaxed stance, but they are encouraging people to get vaccinated and are prioritising the vaccinated workers in terms of return to office.
And this is the phase that we're in, right? Getting people back into the office globally. How's it going?
Look, it's been very tough, and we're seeing in cities everywhere from Singapore and Hong Kong to London and New York that activity in the city centres are still about half of what they used to be pre-COVID. Not surprisingly, it is following vaccination rates. So a city like San Francisco, which has 73% of its population vaccinated, has about 61% activity back. At the other end, you have Hong Kong, which only has about 27% of its people vaccinated, and activity is only at about 13%, Heidi.